I love this microphone, but I don't love the fact that I have it plugged in all the time, and that's something I am going to have to work with. Through the prayers of Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God of mercy, and us and save us. Amen. My name is Father Joseph Swaden. For those who don't know, I'm the founder of NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News. And maybe no audio is just going to become a thing. Maybe I just need to deal with that, or I'm just going to have to get better with this mic. That's the only solution that I have. For those who don't know, I've run NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News, since 2004. On Facebook since 2016, YouTube since 2018, although that might be a lie. It's our live Q&A show where anyone can ask questions, can come in, can comment, can challenge us. Part of the beauty of the show of Orthodox apologetics in general is and being able to answer people for the sake of the Lord. And Zolotis comes in early. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that, and I'm going to reset the bar. We really need, believe it or not, I'm gonna have a bit of a rant about money, because it's not good right now. Anyway, hold on. I'm not trying to put up other people's chats. I'm trying to say thank you for that, and I gotta add this to the banner. So we're gonna do that. Give me just a moment. And I'm going with for those wondering if I had any donations this week. We have to talk about the donations and how we approach them from here on in, but the answer is no. But we do have to talk about it. People have been complaining. I've got to figure out a right way to do this. But in any case, I just want to throw that out for Zolotas there. Thank you for a great start. Okay, and so let's take a look, and we'll start by saying our hellos. Reconquistas, we're back. Let's go call in live. Again, if you want to call in live to discuss anything, whether related to Orthodoxy, of course, we're here to answer that. We're not into the whole just beat down and win sort of thinking that you find in apologetical circles all over the place. The goal is the salvation of the of people and bringing them to the Orthodox faith. Reconquista says NFTU is better than ancient faith. Well, that's a really low bar to climb. I mean, if really now if it's ancient faith at 1.75, maybe, who knows? I don't know. Hello, Anastasi. Hello, Taylor. Hello, Zolotas. God bless you. Taylor, God bless you. Yes, I'm muted. Hopefully not anymore. Yep, no sound. Genevieve, hello. Kevin, hello. Oh, God bless you. Never falls from the Spirit. John Wrinkle, ready for a powerful, uplifting message of faith and encouragement. God bless you. You sure you're on the right channel? I'm not very uplifting. I'm kind of a jaded, angry troll with a dog. And Reconquista, 12-hour streams. Oh, we're going to talk about the 12-hour stream, okay? We're going to talk about that, but we're not doing that yet. So let's see how to approach this. First off, let's go through the questions I got this week. Some of them were interesting. One of them was a set of patristic quotes from Quintessential Christian. So let's take off this scrolling thing here. And yeah, he quoted St. Ignatius of Antioch. Unfortunately, he quoted St. Ignatius, he quoted St. Irenaeus, and he quoted St. Optatus there, and none of those are particularly good. What's the word I'm looking for? Good beginnings for discussion on the matter. We'll look at the first one so I can show you as an example. Okay, it's kind of long. You know what? So let me see what I can do here. I'm going to try to put it in my notepad. I'm going to put my notepad on the screen instead. And while we're waiting for that, I just have to do this because today or tonight, well, today is and was the Sunday of Orthodoxy. And I'm not going to read the anathemas. That was actually supposed to be read Saturday, but one moment. Trying to find something here. Okay. 43. I'm looking for something in a book, guys. I'm looking for something in a book. Okay. Let's see. Conference services. I'll kind of go a little further here. Okay. While you are waiting for me to turn pages on a book, let's see here. This is correct. Okay. Yep. Okay. So let's see. All right. See, I've been turning pages on this book. We all know it as the Swiss Army knife, and nothing starts great without a good reading. And so, from the Synaxarion, on this day, on the first Sunday of the fast, which we commemorate the hanging of the venerable and holy icons, which was performed in the by the ever-memorable kings of Constantinople, Michael and his mother Theodora, in the days of the Saint and Confessor Methodius. I feel bad now. I realize it wasn't Theodora, although someone said Theodosia, and I said Irene. But these teachers, when I behold the holy icons, and seemingly put away, bow down as me to do and rejoice, on which we fulfill the remembrance of the hanging of the honored icons. This book is $10, guys. The persecution of the economacho kings of false worship, the first of whom was Leon Severus, and the last of whom was Theophilus, the spouse of Saint Theodora, see February 11th, suppressed the Church of Christ and disturbed her rest for more than 100 years. But Theodora, the queen of happy memory, after her husband's death, restored and established the Orthodox doctrine in the year 842, for she first kissed the icon of the Theotokos before Patriarch Methodius, see June 14th, these are Julian dates, and many of the righteous people and confessors, calling out in a loud and clear voice, if any kneel not to them and kiss them anxiously in sign of veneration to their original elements, not the kneeling and kissing of worship, but considering them as icons representing their original elements, not as God, then let him be anathema. Then she besought God, asking of him forgiveness for her husband, praying and fasting continually throughout the first week of the great fast. Then on the following Sunday, having offered the prescribed prayers and petitions along with her son Emperor Michael and all the clergy and the people, she hung the holy icons, adorning therewith the Church of Christ as formerly. In remembrance, therefore, of this holy act, all we embrace this glorious and brilliant day as the Sunday of Orthodoxy. Wherefore, O uncreated likeness of the Father, through the intercession of thine glorious and brilliant of the Father, through the intercession of the two confessing saints, have mercy upon us. Amen. Okay. It looks like some construction is going on around my room. I don't understand what's happening. But in any case, let's get back to some comments. And we'll get right to these quotes. Let's take a look here. John asks, Father, what advice do you have for those who are considering the monastic life but aren't sure if he or she should take the step towards it? God bless you. Don't worry about that. It's a question and answer statement. If I had to make the words Father bless a prerequisite to every question, nobody would ask a thing. The question here is, if you're considering the monastic life but aren't sure, you have to look at your options in terms of monastic life. And what I mean by that is you have to look at what monasteries are near you. You have to call the abbot. One does not make a decision that says, I am a monastic and now I go to the monastery. That is not how it works. You have to go And the monastery has to test you. They have to see if you're the type of person who will be a faithful and good monk. And, you know, that's a simple reality. We do not declare ourselves monastics. And so that's one of the, I think, one of the big illusions that a lot of people have concerning monasticism is it's something hidden away and you make the decision. It's not how the church works in general. You should talk to an abbot. You should see about doing a visit. And you should take the time to see if that's what God's calling you to. There have been cases in church history where that may be immediate. There have been cases in church history where a person waited at the doors of the monastery for a year. There are all sorts of cases, but the simple reality is, ultimately, you know, it's the Holy Spirit who leads us, and we don't want to make an improper decision. Atomically, good evening, Father Antonios. Good evening, Saba. Bless. Um, Father Simeon at St. Michael's. You know, may God bless you, and I hope you feel better. Denise, God bless you. Reconquista says, Father, have you watched Power Slap? Yeah, I have. I think it's probably one of the foulest of the modern violent sports. There is no art to it. A person does not move. They can't defend themselves. It's simply a matter of whether one person can snap another's neck or not. That's not fighting to me. That's not gladiator. That's not gladiation. That's just pure, distilled, pointless violence. Yeah. So that's not me. Father Simeon says, visit a monastery for several days plus. What Father Joseph, absolutely. Father Simeon, as a monastic, would know. Is it orthodox to watch that type of stuff? It's I would say it's worse than watching, say, MMA. It's not. I don't think it's healthy to just glorify violence for violence's sake. It doesn't make sense to me. And Saba says, St. Barsanufia says, do not decide thrice or 7 times to become a monk, but once and for all, let your yes be yes. Absolutely. But the inconstancy of man is only multiplied by the fact that if a person does not go to a monastery but tries to make the decision on their own, that they're heading for disaster. You know, it's we don't live in the time of Saint Basil because we are not willing to fast like Saint Basil. We are not willing to pray like Saint Basil, but then we think that we are going to live like Saint Basil, and that's just not how the things work. Let's take a look here and what else we've got. So let's get to the quotes, and I'm going to have to share my notepad because there's no other way to do this. And so let's do that. Okay. So these quotes come from Quintessential Christian. The first two, actually, I should say, are from Ignatius of Antioch. Let me see here. So these are basic Roman Catholic quotes. We've seen these a million times. To the church, it's also as a presidency in the location of the country of the Romans, worthy of God, worthy of honor, worthy of blessing, worthy of praise, worthy of success, worthy of sanctification, and because you hold the presidency and love named after Christ and after the Father. You have envied no one but others you have taught. I desire only what you have enjoyed in your instructions may remain in force. I think it's fairly safe to say that even without reading the full text, this is not a great defense of the papacy. I just don't see it. You know, okay, the Church of the Romans is holy. The Church of the Romans is first in place. That's what we got. Let's look at the next one, because this one is much more fun. Saint Irenaeus, goes through, but since it would be too long to enumerate in such a volume as this, the succession of all the churches, which this is the purpose of putting this up, to explain apostolic succession, We shall confound all those who in whatever manner, whether through self-satisfaction or vainglory, or through blindness and wicked opinion, assemble other than from where it is proper, or through blindness and wicked opinion, assemble, by pointing out here the succession of the bishops of the greatest and most ancient church known to all, founded and organized at Rome by the two most glorious apostles, Peter and Paul, the church which has the tradition and the faith which comes down to us, and after having been announced to men by the apostles. With that church, because of its propter potentialem, all of the churches must agree, that is, with the faithful of the whole world, that it is in her, the faithful everywhere, that have maintained that apostolic tradition. You may have noticed that I might have switched superior origin for propter potentiatatem. The reason why is because superior origin is actually the worst translation of those words. What it is actually saying is because it is the best principality, which it is the Roman capital. So that's really not a great argument. And then we continue up in here, and this was Saint Irenaeus, Saint Optatus, who says he argues for the unity of the church in the history of the Roman Church and the Apostle Peter. And so, in any case, this is not a very good argument. St. Optatus uses one of the kind of the weakest arguments against the Donatists, if we're being honest, because his argument is largely based on numerical strength. And so he does spend time mocking the Donatists for having small churches with a few African migrants in them, and claiming that that's the Church of Rome. So he actually does use numerical arguments, which, as we know, are not the greatest, but he does make some very good points. All right, so with that, what we're going to do is we're going to shrink this up a little, because now we have questions, and I'm going to look here in the chat to see if there are any new questions or common things. Okay. Okay, guys, you're talking about violence. Okay, great. All right, once again, I'm going to actually kind of probably do this a lot more. Support the channel. We at NFT need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or Monero, or on Give, Send, Go. Because I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's we managed to get through. We finally took care of the car payment. There's a number of bills that need to be paid. We're looking at basically $400 to $500. I recently got it's kind of sad. We recently got a parking ticket. We were actually in the car, at the risk of losing the grace of the deed, I will say we did a good deed. But somehow we got a parking ticket even though we were in the car. This has kind of been for lack of a better word, this has kind of been the status quo for the past week and a half. What I mean by that is or I should say almost 2 weeks now, because okay, we got to separate things out. So it's been kind of a week where we're doing good deeds and paying dearly for them, and it's costing us quite a bit. I am getting very close to maxing out my tiny $300 credit card. I'm going to be honest. When I put up things, I've been trying to track the stream to record everyone's donations as well as I can. Sometimes I put up the donations. I've put up, like in the case of the crypto, I put up donations that were over a week old because I felt bad, but that may have given the impression that I have more than I do, and I don't. And frankly, people have complained when I've thanked them for donations and I've put them online. I can't win. Either I put too much information or I put not enough information, and the simple reality is I don't know if everyone thinks if everyone thinks I'm independently wealthy. I can assure you I'm not. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a little more begging these days, and we're going to get to that 12-hour stream. Let me see here. Why? Let's see. Why does TO have no non-European followers? It's very non-diverse, like no DEI, LOL. Herman, I realize that you've kind of been on that DTC stream and asking these questions. I truly invite you to join us here in the chat because I would much rather educate you in person. The simple reality is you're saying stupid and illogical things. They are not true. I can gladly prove them, but I would prefer to prove them to you as a person as opposed to a little anonymous bot. Let's continue. Saba, we have quite a few true Orthodox Africans. Yes, we do. Atomic Lead asks, are there true Orthodox in the Middle East and North Africa? There are some, but they are scattered. Saba says, yes, there are some in Jerusalem and Egypt. John says, Herman, I'm not European and I'm a convert. Let's see. The Father Simeon says, you're being chased by the demon of greed for all your charity. Yeah, well, I'm still running. So it's not working out too well. So this is it's tricky, but just for fun, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'll do that later when I start talking about the 12-hour stream. Maybe we'll talk about a recent video I saw about Ruslan. Because like I'm always amazed when I watch this sort of thing. Oh, okay. Hey there. I thought we were going to talk on Thursday.
Oh, hey. I just figured I'd pop on.
Saw you. Why not? Hey, welcome aboard.
Hey, how's it going? I was going to talk about what you were talking about with those Ignatius quotes on the papal supremacy.
Yeah.
So have you ever looked at the Chetty document at all?
Oh yeah, we've made fun of it.
Oh my!
We actually have a video making fun of World Orthodox talking about the Chetty document.
Yeah. That anytime somebody tries to tell me there's papal supremacy within the first millennium, I'm like, the Vatican literally confirmed they didn't have canonical authority over the East in the first millennium. I don't understand where your argument is. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean I think the problem you see if you watch the show we did, me and Bishop Enoch did about we call it the Chieti boys. You'd see it in the list if you want to search for it. The big problem is, and this is something that was brought up by a new calendar priest, Father Anastasios Katsopoulos, is that even though they're seeding the kind of East, it's a ruse. What they're really doing is they're presenting a dual authority model where the Pope is kind of above the EP and then the EP is in charge of its own domains. So on the one hand, they're citing things that are not favorable to their position, but the long game is that if they can get everyone to agree on that flawed ecclesiology, which isn't based on correct history, then it will be much easier to say, well, now why can't union happen if we're all equals, etc., which is the next step in it. And Father Anastasios points out correctly that that's not even the historical structure of the church in the West. The church in the West did not have this kind of structure where it was over the West but not over the East. It had no structure of that kind. They were much more decentralized, which is what we're always saying. And that is, I think, part of the reason why Chieti is dangerous. People love to bring up Chieti as a way to say, like, this is what they don't realize is that's the Roman Catholics' bargaining position. So that is where they're saying this is like kind of where we stand. I'm sure you can agree. Obviously, we have conceded that you're right, even though that's not what we're right about.
Right. Yeah, it's the 2025 reunion game plan there.
Yeah. Notice
recently a big push on that whole synodality concept. Like that's the big push. Hey, we're synodal, you know.
Nothing Rome does hasn't been planned 10 years in advance. Keep that in mind. They have enough money. It's not because they're holier, and they're just really good at planning, and they've studied history. And quite frankly, I'll tell you a funny story. And we've mentioned this on the channel once or twice. But there was a case where Bishop Enoch of Shala was researching a certain text of Saint Augustine's. I think he was. It's not City of God. It was. I think it was on the Trinity. And the point is that in researching it, he found that there was one particular text that he had already concluded that this text was probably spurious, but there was one particular text which would settle the question in Spain. So he calls up it's like the University of, I think it was Salamanca, etc. And the point is, the library was maintained by these Roman Catholic orders, so on and so forth. He's like, okay, let's see. I can't find a way to just find this online, so let me make a phone call. And as I mentioned, we're not a particularly large synod or anything like that. We do focus on things like Western Fathers and Western Saints. But when he called, he kind of introduced himself, and they said, he said, I just want to see if I can is there a way to get a digital or some kind of copy of this manuscript? And they responded, no. And he said, is there a limitation? And they said, yes, we know exactly who you are, and you're not getting a copy of that manuscript, and hung up. So this is the kind of thing they know. They have a lot more preparation, and they're smart enough to dupe a lot of people. And while they realized, just as in Florence, that if you don't get all of the Orthodox, that means you probably won't get many of them, because many of them will just reform and come back. But they've kind of also, since the unions like of Uzurod and Brest, etc., they've kind of accepted that as long as they can get a good chunk, then they can pretend that that's good enough.
Right. Do you think they're going to reunite with the Greeks?
No. Realistically, the way I see it, and this is something to remember in Orthodox ecclesiology, it is about who you commemorate. And so the simple reality is, since the 1960s, since the lifting of the anathemas, in Constantinople and Rome has been commemorated as the first bishop of the church. This has gone on for 50 years. So even without full communion, they've kind of tried to push sometimes in that direction. Oh, you can receive sometimes there. There's that one Catholic priest who showed up. He's like, I didn't know, but I can just show up in an Orthodox church and commune on YouTube. And like everyone's like, no, you can't do that. But the key was all the kind of overarching things, such as who is commemorated, who's recognized as recognizing Rome as bishops. That's already done. So there's no real point in risking a signature where the Pope and the Patriarch signed that sort of thing would give true Orthodox lots more people, lots more parishes, lots more resources. You want to stick with, and yet I don't mean this like this is my attitude, but this is their attitude. It's a business. You want to stick with the biggest number of customers possible so that your competitors are choked out. That's basically their thinking.
Yeah. I would imagine it would be very hard for them to unite anyway, just with the ecumenical councils that have happened after the Great Schism in the West.
Oh, they've already worked that out. They've talked about the two models where Easterners would look at those later councils as Western councils. That they don't apply to them. Trust me, I was a Uniate before I became Orthodox by the glory of God, and what I truly believe is a miracle. But I saw the inside of that stuff. I knew how they were going to do it 30 years ago. They were saying it. They were explaining it. And one thing they explained was Easterners will not have to be bound to those councils. They won't be ecumenical to them.
Yeah, wow. So they just consider it like a regional council then. That's rough. I was talking about that. I was talking about that topic. We're church classes this Sunday. And I was like, well, it's kind of like you talk about these ecumenical councils in the West after 1054. It's like, okay, so it's ecumenical councils with one patriarchate. So
Yeah.
You're kind of taking the term, a little sideways there. It's basically a regional council plus,
Right. And that's kind of how the Uniates, when you get down to it, like especially their propagandists will describe it, like with the chuckles and saying that so that Orthodox will be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So that's the whole plan. It's boiling the frog. It's always is. Let's see what we got here. So what was your question though?
Oh, I just wanted to come in and talk about that.
Okay.
That had kind of been the topic of the week is doing papal primacy stuff, talking about the Western ecumenical councils. I just did I don't know if you saw. I know you sometimes watch the channel. I just did a debate the other day with very nice, to be completely fair, very nice Roman Catholic gentleman on Orthodoxy, and that was interesting. About specifically about together we adore the one God with the Muslims.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. It got to the point eventually. To be very fair, he was a nice guy. I don't want to speak bad about him or anything. He was very, charitable. But it got to the point where I was talking to his buddy that he had brought in, and I'm like, okay, man, like they reject the Trinity. They reject Christ. Like they're not worshiping the same God. You can't break God up and make him composite. You know what I mean? Oh, just take parts out. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
You claim that you adhere to divine simplicity, yet you're basically rejecting it by saying that they're worshiping the same God, even though they reject the Trinity. It got to the point where I get a piece of paper out. I start drawing on this piece of paper, and he's like, well, as long as they're monotheistic, as long as it's the God of that they're saying they're worshiping the God of Abraham, then it's the same God. I'm like, okay, so I draw an elephant with a unicorn horn and a big clown afro, and I say, okay, if I were to make up a religion and say this is the God of Abraham and I'm monotheistic, is this the same God? He's like, oh, well, in principle, yes. I'm like,
Yeah.
rough.
Indeed. Well, I'm looking forward to our discussion on Thursday.
Confirmed for that? I didn't see an email or anything.
I didn't get an email.
Oh, I sent one on your website form or whatever. I didn't get your email address last time I was in the chat.
You sent it to I hope not through my personal one, because that one doesn't work. Guarding Time doesn't work. If you sent it through NFTU, I should get it.
Drop your. You know what?
Here, let me put it in the private chat. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you an email. Well, just tell me what time you do it.
Well, I thought we were going. I think you said 6:30 or something. Just here you go. I sent it to you. Just look in the private chat and just copy it there, because I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, let's just do Thursday. That sounds good.
Awesome. Okay. And I'll wait for your email, but I'm looking forward to discussing, because it's always interesting. Let me see here. I'm looking in the comments. Trying to see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see here. All right. Nope. Wait. Just waiting here. Okay.
While I'm up here, let me ask you a question. So,
yeah, sure.
With that, I told you the last time. Well, not the last time. One of the times I was chatting in the live stream. We're talking about Freemasonry and subversion of the churches.
Okay.
Have any? So the only real resource that I've read through is by a guy I don't trust, a Jesuit priest named Reverend Cahill.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the subversion of the Roman Catholic Church or Orthodox with the Freemasons?
Well, there are some essays on it. I personally, with the Roman Catholic Church, there's actually quite a bit of stuff on the Freemasons. You just kind of have to. I would go to Google Books and try Catholic Church Freemasons, and you're just gonna. So there, you'll have plenty there. With Orthodoxy, it's a bit less. There have been statements against Freemasonry. I think what's his name? Michael Witkoff actually wrote a book on the Freemasons and their lies, and he actually goes through that. Because he was a former Mason, actually. So, and he goes through the history, etc. There's some encyclical statements. I'm not too aware. I've mentioned Ecumenism, A Path to Perdition, as an online book. That actually does have a couple of chapters on Freemasons. So yeah, there's stuff on it, definitely.
Did you see that thing about Elpidophoros where he did the foreword for a Masonic book on politics?
I did see that. I did see that.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I
I
saw.
was
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
a part of me, like I can't tell with El Pitaforas whether he is genuinely that openly heretical or genuinely that stupid or a combination of both. But I tend to think towards that last option because he just it's like you have to it's like you're flipping a coin with stupid or evil and you're not sure which one it is, but the point is it's gonna land on one and it's probably gonna be right.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
that's just kind of sad.
Well, I know people who have met him like in person because I live in a very well, now I'm a little bit further away, but I used to live in a very Greek town.
Okay.
Would do like a big epiphany celebration and the bishops would come and they would throw the cross in the river and all of
Yeah.
that. My friend has met Elpidophoros. He was like, man, I got the worst vibe when I met this guy because he was one of the divers. It's like only the it was like 18 and younger like boys can dive in the river for the cross. He was one of the divers. He's like, when I met him, he gave me the heebies, man. Yeah, so I mean, I've heard all sorts of stuff about that guy. Like he said the Eucharistic spoon can give you diseases.
Yep, he did. He
Yeah,
did.
that's
He's
that.
he's insane. But the point is, that's their leader.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look here. All right. Did you send me anything or
Who, me?
yeah.
Oh no, I was just chatting,
Oh,
man.
okay. I thought you would have sent something that way have it. All right, let's start reading some comments. Okay. Um let's see. Someone said foot to a 24-hour stream. No. Well, I shouldn't say that. But in any case, there are Chinese new martyrs, a few. Okay, absolutely chill like that. Native American saints. Yeah, we have saints from everywhere. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Like, what's the canonical status of Father Simeon asks? What's the canonical status of Artok following the exit of their Ukraine bishop? And where did the Ukraine bishop go? John said, I believe Savati is on its own. Yeah, it's a situation with war. Um, Unfortunately, you can't. It's to some degree the RTOC is still governed by UCONS 362. So if stuff like that happens, they may have to, unfortunately, figure that out on their own. Peter the Aleut is only can't know. He's not. He's venerated by the true Orthodox. Matter of fact, some people in World Orthodoxy are starting to deny he exists. Saint Avrami was a Tatar, okay. Saint Abba the Performer, Arab, yes. There were many, many saints all over the world. Yeah, John, we can only pray that he reunites himself to his synod or joins an Orthodox synod. If he's doing it for logistical purposes, that doesn't need to be a priority. The bishop is the center of Eucharistic unity, not the synod. Let's see here. St. Peter was on the roll call calendar. Yep. Okay. And is true of that? Yep. The parish of St. Peter the Aleut in Louisiana. Atomic lead says Vladika Enoch's reputation precedes his grace. Yep. St. Yoasaph was an ethnic Indian saint, is an ethnic Indian saint. Max in Ireland says China on course to become the world's most Christian nation. The number of Christians in China, in China, is growing so steadily that by 2030 it could have more churchgoers in America. Possibly. Let me see here. Well, Father Joseph, what do you think of the local veneration of Jan Hus by the World Orthodox Czech Church? Obviously, I don't think that's acceptable, but since I don't think that the World Orthodox Czech Church is acceptable anyway, and there are true Orthodox in Czechia, I have no interest in that. Sava B says, or the EP venerating Peter Damian. He would have a better case for Peter Damian. Okay, wait, we have Unseen Warfare. Welcome.
Hey, I think you're might be shadow banned.
Who? Me? What?
Yeah, the reason I say that is because I looked up, like, I seen that you had a notification on, but when I clicked it, it wasn't like you were live or anything. It was weird.
That is odd.
Yeah.
Hopefully that clears itself up. The only thing I can recommend is for people to keep subscribing and to keep telling people to subscribe, because quite frankly, the only way to beat shadow bans is with more people. That is the only way. Let me see here. What are we up to? Can Protestants join Rome if we recognize Trent as a local council only? I would hope not. I don't think you should join Rome at all. I don't know how to express that more forcefully. Let me see here. In China, the government doesn't trust the Pope, so the government gives the Pope the choice of priests to choose from. China, however, gives the Eastern Orthodox total freedom. Not the Eastern Orthodox, World Orthodoxy, and allows priests to be ordained directly in Russia. You're talking about the Moscow Patriarchate, their Soviet partner for the past 60, 70 years. So I'm not exactly, that's not Orthodoxy, that's World Orthodoxy. Father Simeon at the St. Michael Calia says that now the 2025 Pascalian change from Papists is a soft union between them and World Orthodoxy. Yeah, it is. And hopefully if they manage to switch the Pascalian to the Orthodox Pascalian, there'll be one nice unified looking church together. It'll be great. And you can refer to them all as the Papists. Well, TOs seem to be kind of exclusivist, and Catholic Protestants think they're racist for it. Herman, you're like three posts away from being banned for saying stupid things. No offense. Father Joseph, what do you guys answered this? The EPA venerating Peter Damian, it's still a terrible idea. John asks, which GOC is the St. Michael Kilia under? That would be our synod. The Georgian Patriarchate venerates Peter the Iberian, who was a Monophysite. I'd have to look at the history. This is one of your problems when you're dealing with this sort of thing. You really, really have to look at the history here. There may be something to it. I have not investigated it, so I'm not going to make a claim on it. But this is like the Isaac the Syrian thing. Saint Isaac the Syrian. Some people try to call him an historian. Some people try to call him a Monophysite. The church has historically recognized him as Orthodox, and this is the problem when you start saying let's reevaluate stuff. You don't reevaluate stuff. You go with what the church says.
I think what the situation with him is that in his lifetime, it was like a transitionary period after his death where they kind of went in that direction. But there was still some connection with, the Church of the Eastern Orthodoxy when he was alive. And then later text, I believe with St. Isaac, they changed text to make it have like a Nestorian lean to them, and then attributed it to him. So that's the confusion.
Well, this is a great example, I would say, of problematic veneration. When I say that, it's that both sides have their own versions of his life. Both sides have their own they have their own vitas. Like there's a Monophysite version and an Orthodox version. And when we start to say, well, the Monophysites are right, I mean, why stop at one thing? It's the point is, we have our own life of the saint, and I have no reason to cede that to the Monophysites.
Right. As far as I understand, the earlier texts are all Orthodox, so that's telling. Yeah.
Jose Marci was a Freemason, and Simon Bolivar. Yeah, no, all of the Libertadores were Freemasons. They're very open about that. There's not, and they modeled it on the American Revolution, where they considered the Freemasons who started this country like heroes. Herman says, is Sweden Mexican? I'm not. I actually am as ghosts. I'd say ghost-like in terms of heritage, as what appears, how it one could possibly imagine. I could say that I'm Hispanic, but the reality is, my mother is mestiza, but so she's half Spanish and half Indian on the Peruvian side, and then on my father's side, my grandfather was Lebanese, and then went to Argentina. So, there, and then my grandmother's from Lublin. And for those who don't know anything about the history of the city of Lublin, It has been in the hands of different countries multiple times over the past 200 years. So that's fine with me. However, Herman, if you really want to make this kind of an annoying racial thing, I can just ban you. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's Father Joseph,
yeah.
not just Sweden. That's pretty
That's
crazy.
the point. I'm used to that. I'm used to that, and I do not argue it with people on my show. People want to come on and call me Sweden, fine, present your arguments, but it's usually garbage. That's why they don't come on, and they just talk like that in the chat until I ban them. Let's see here. Peruvian, father is Peruvian. I'm actually, yeah, I'm Peruvian and Argentinian, but as I just explained from heritage, it goes further back.
Yeah, for you. So,
huh?
so the world Orthodox, right? They're in communion with the Georgian Orthodox Church. Don't they have a different Bible canon?
The Georgians, to my knowledge, the Georgians follow the Slavonic Bible canon.
I heard they had an extra Maccabees.
Well, I think the Greek has the third and fourth Maccabees, while the Russian follows the Latin. Like the Slavonic Bible, which I assume would eventually become probably a forced basis for the Georgians and others, is actually based on the enumeration of the Latin Vulgate. Whereas the Greek, the Septuagint includes the extra book of Maccabees, Psalm 151. Which Psalm 151 exists in the liturgy of the Russian church. It's just not part of the Bible. So there are slight differences, but they're minor. When you compare, if everything in the Latin Bible was translated properly, it would also have the extra books of Maccabees. But that was at Trent, they decided they just keep it as an appendix.
You think four Maccabees?
If I remember correctly, let me double check that. I'm not sure if it was the third and fourth book of Maccabees or it was another set of books, but I just have to check. Latin Vulgate books at Trent. Give me just a moment. This is one thing that these LLMs are good for, is figuring that stuff out from articles.
We talked about the canon list at Trent.
Yeah, because remember that in the Clementine Vulgate, they kept 3 books as an appendix. So let me see here. Okay, I'll just look at this.
Yeah, they have first and second Maccabees. I don't think they have third Maccabees.
Okay, it's third and fourth Estras they have, which is in the Greek. And the Prayer of Manasseh.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, they don't have the extra book of Maccabees, but I'm pretty sure the Septuagint has all 4.
I guess my question from this, because Orthodox say that they get their canon, the Bible canon, right, from at least at an ecumenical level at the Council of Trullo, right? Because it's like a combination.
No, that's not correct. I don't blame you. No, I don't blame you. I'm just saying that the amount of bad information about Orthodoxy that is spread on the internet is amazing, and how much of it presents as valid information is also amazing. But no, in fact, the canons were developed more or less on a national basis. So really, nobody argued with the Ethiopians including other books in their canon until they went into schism along with the other Monophysites. So to that degree, because
Just open.
You broke up a bit there. What?
Oh, I was gonna say, we just say it's like effectively open still.
No. What we would say is that if you look in the Great Catechism of St. Philaret of Moscow, it's how they determine the books. The undisputed books are pretty much the ones in the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. Those are what the other books are considered, what are known as teaching books. And so those books are taught to catechumens, etc., before their entry into the church. So they're not considered at the same level as the books of the Hebrew canon and the 27 New Testament books, but they are considered valuable for people to learn. Like they're considered to some degree spiritual inspired, but not on the same level as the Hebrew canon. So this is one of the things that's really, really hard for people to grasp. And I say that because we've kind of all been taught the Tridentan history. The Protestants dropped books. The Catholics had these books since Usually it's 393 or 387 or 313 or the Council of somewhere a pope just said the Douay Rheims is the canon of the scripture, accept it. And that's all a lie, but the point is that, it sounds really good and people like to believe it. But the basic Hebrew text, I would say, for all of the churches are considered the canonical scripture, but the other books are considered canonical books that are for education, and they're church books. It's like ecclesiastical books, so they're okay. So those can vary, and that doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot from various Eastern Orthodox apologists that'll say that it was defined at quintisex, so Trullo. The reason I was asking that was because I don't think Fourth Maccabees is in any of those councils affirmed at Trullo. I think it's only at the Third Maccabees. So
it's possible. I might be. I'd have to check because I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't usually read from the Septuagint. I'm an American speaker. I don't. There's a Brenton edition somewhere in my house. I have not looked at it lately, but let me just see here.
Well, yeah, no, I wasn't challenging that. I was just, like, the Georgians have fourth Maccabees, I believe. So I was just saying.
Let me see. Yeah, the Greek has the Fourth Maccabees in it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, the point is they're valuable books. I'm sure the Third and Fourth Maccabees books are valuable. I read them sometime once, but they're not totally relevant.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Okay, first off, don't ban me. Okay, no, you're right. I'm going to ban you now. I just wanted to double check to see if Herman was still making comments, but he was. He's gone now. Let's see here. Are they going to try to replace Peter the Aleut for Olga the grandma? No, I mean, they'll probably keep them both. I don't think that's of any consequence. I think the bigger problem. Go ahead.
I thought it was 397 that they ratified the biblical canon at Carthage or something.
Well, Carthage 397 did a ratification, but Carthage 397 is a local council.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the Council of Rome at 392.
Yep. Still a local council.
Yeah, and then Hippo was right around the Council of Carthage too.
Yep.
On a local level, it's like this was accepted for that particular, region.
Well, what we can say is this. For all of those councils, the books of the Hebrew canon as well as the New Testament were all confirmed. Every single one of them. What we're talking about is a question about teaching books and which ones were approved, ultimately. So for us, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like they're not canonical books. It's not like they're just not the scripture proper, but they're part of it in the sense that they're still part of the teaching books of the church.
Yeah.
The West were not applicable in the East. I mean, those are all local council, regional.
Yeah. Well, they can't. Each church has its own, its own rule to follow. So let me see here. DTC asks, what's the general view of Daniel Siosev? He is considered among World Orthodox as some kind of martyric hero. He's written a lot of stuff. He wrote a lot of stuff against different groups, including ROCOR before the Union. He wrote a lot of stuff about us. They try to present him as this holy martyr, that he was shot by a Muslim dude and stuff like that. But there's weird stuff about him, which you read in the Russian press if you pay attention. For example, it seems that the book company that he was kind of running, the enterprise, was under his friend who was also cheating on his wife was cheating on him with the friend, and then the whole thing spirals out where there's accusations of abuse by female family members, like his daughters and stuff. There's something that stinks about that. I would stay away from it. Something that's weird. Let's see. Pseudo Jerome of Prague says, that was a joke about Roman Trent, by the way, but Romans venerate Assyrians, EO, and everyone. Yes, they do. Pseudo Jerome of Prague says it's time for a Protestant Roman Catholic saint. I don't think that would be very hard. I think they can make the deal. Memento Mori says, Father, do you know if St. Harlambus, Fool for Christ, openly rebuked new calendarists? I do not have his life story in front of me. Asking because some World Orthodox channel Harmony did a video of that of him about that, so I found it odd. Well, Harmony is the name of the Masonic lodge that Meletios Metaxakis was part of. Okay.
That guy, it seems like he's kind of just recently gotten into Orthodoxy, and I don't think he knows the distinction between,
All right.
you
Well,
know, like Coptics or True Orthodox or like any.
everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Father, okay, John Kelia is Serbo-Croatian for monastic cell or hermitage. Savavi says they already are. Post-Vatican II Papist Saints, very true. John said, I thought it's the place in Serbia. Pseudo Jerome says if they can venerate Palamas and Nestorius, they should be able to venerate Turretin and John Wesley. Give them time. Sava B says, interesting fact, politician, Novus Ordo was designed by Protestants. I've seen the trad versus liberal debates on this. I don't care. Reconquista says, interesting fact, politician Huey Long was killed by a doctor named Carl Weiss. Well, thank you for supporting the channel and for giving that useful piece of information. We could really use it. Okay, and welcome Saba. Meanwhile, I'm going to add this to the banner. Welcome, Saba.
Hello. I wanted to talk a little bit about Daniel Sosiev because he was brought up, and I think Sosiev, yeah, because I know I might have mentioned this in a previous stream, but I did a bit of a investigation on him. And I think even the claim that he was killed by these like Chechen or Dagestani Muslims is dubious.
Yeah.
Because the only source for that is Kavkazciner, which is notorious for being an FSB PSYOP website.
Okay.
So you can look into it, but there's only one source for that, and it came from a website that was run by the FSB. So I don't even know if it's confirmed that Muslims even killed him.
Okay. I would like to give a thank you to the person who sent that via Cash App. Someone did send out 50 to help. Cash App and PayPal are, by the way, the fastest ways to help out. And I could really use help. So I want to thank our donor, JC. And I'm going to add that to the total. Thank you so much. I'm still not sure how I'm going to name names and stuff between, people getting upset with me naming names, people getting upset with me not naming names, people getting upset for all sorts of reasons. But the point is, I am going to say thank you for that one. So let me add that to the total. And I really appreciate that. Every bit counts today. So anything, PayPal and Cash App will help today. And super chats, etc., will help in 2 weeks when.
And he also referred to the Catacomb Church at that time. It was schismatic, and gave a big up to Sergius and everything too. So
I missed that. Sorry about that, Jonathan C. Soyev. Okay, who isn't attacked by Muslims in Russia these days, though? Dang, Father Peter here talks about him a lot. Of course he does. Maybe Sisoyev was FSB and was killed by CIA or something. Nah, I doubt it. Let me see here. Yeah, so it's Sisoyev. That was my mistake, Saba. I don't look at his name as much as I should.
Oh, yes, it's fine.
Let's take a look here. Okay, so we have I do want to get to questions. Did you have any? Cleave to Antiquity. You have any other questions for today?
No, I was just hanging out. I'll probably head out here, man. I'll see you on
Thursday. Don't forget to send me the message.
Oh yeah, let me before I leave, let me copy email down.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, God bless you.
Take care. God bless. What? Okay, I feel. What's your name again? So you used to saying Cleave to Antiquity now.
Oh, you can say Cleave. I mean, it's Ben. That's my name.
Ben. Okay. Well, sign the email so I remember. Okay. Thank you, Ben. You have a great day. God bless you.
All right.
All right. All right. So now it's just us people in the fight. All right. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so we get to the next question. I'm going to put back up the goofy notepad. And this is, it's very good points, questions that were made here. So I'm covering the week's questions. Let's take a look here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So let me see here. Let me see. If you go to Kevin, I just see what you said there. If you go to nftu.net and scroll to the bottom, you'll see a big PayPal link on the bottom of the screen. And also, if you look in the, I think if you look in the About section. Let's see here. So let me read this out. And this was by Peter Stoikaz Malesli. How would you pronounce that, Sava?
Where?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! The Herman has shown up. It's Herman.
Oh, this name
Hi,
here.
Herman. We banned you from the chat. How are you?
Okay.
Wait, can you hear me right now, or?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Wait, like,
what's your question?
Did you ban me, or?
Oh, I banned you from the chat. But you're
okay.
live. You're really live. You sound kind of like David Erhan.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But like, I'm kind of worried because with the TO position, right? Like, it kind of indirectly condemns like over 200 million like people, right?
Okay, what is the TO position?
Wow.
Well, if
Like,
you're Orthodox, you'd be condemning 1.7 billion Catholics and 1.2 billion Muslims.
And unfortunately, if you look at history, Orthodoxy has never been the biggest religion on earth. Actually, Christianity has also never been the biggest religion on earth.
For the record, too, heretics condemn themselves through their heresy.
Yeah, I know, but like, we have the same theology. We're still Orthodox, right?
No.
How so?
Because your bishops preach ecumenism. It's in their confessions. This is something that was actually brought up today. We had a visitor at our church, very lovely man.
Thank you, KK, for donating $10. I'm going to add that to the total, and I'm hold on one second so that I can put that up. Thank you so much. Everything helps keep the lights on.
So we were talking about this today because, of course, a common claim thrown against us true Orthodox is that we are schismatic. However, I'm of the impression that this cannot be so. Saint Basil the Great, in his seminal work on the Holy Spirit, written in the 4th century, he gives the definition, which is basically what the standard definition believed by all Orthodox Christians of what a heretic, a schismatic, and a parasynagogue is. He mentions that schismatics hold the same faith, however, they're not in communion with the Church. However, if you look at true Orthodoxy and you look at world Orthodoxy, we do not hold the same faith. The bishops of world Orthodoxy say that Roman Catholics have grace and that Monophysites have grace. And sometimes they're praying with Muslims and Hindus and saying that all paths lead to God, which is completely different than the standard Orthodox teaching of the Fathers, which the true Orthodox, you have to realize there is no such thing as a true Orthodox and a world Orthodox perspective. There's only the Orthodox perspective. And the true Orthodox, we are the Orthodox. Not everyone who calls himself Orthodox is Orthodox. In this case, the world Orthodox are not Orthodox.
Wait, but which bishops said that Catholics have grace?
Oh, all of them. You look at Bartholomew, Epidaphros, Greek bishops, the Russian Church, the Moscow Patriarchate. They've been in communion with Roman Catholics since the 1960s.
Orthodox involved in Vatican II, World Orthodox sharing sacraments in Russia and Constantinople, the commemorating of the Pope. I mean, the list can go really like on and on. Like this is not. There was a case of a Romanian Orthodox bishop celebrating in a Catholic church. I mean, you have no idea how long this list can get.
Okay. Yeah, that's rough.
Well, if you have other questions, did you have any other questions for us or anything like that?
I do, but I forgot them right now.
All right, well,
that's fine.
yeah.
It's fine.
Just come back when you have them, and just you're welcome to just use the link to pop right back in.
Okay.
So you want me to pronounce this name here? Let me see if I can scroll in. Historikas Milenienia, I believe is how that'd be pronounced.
Okay.
It's not Serbian, it's Polish, but
What is it, like Croatian or?
no, that's not Serbo. That's not Serbian. That's not Croatian. It's definitely like Polish or Czech or something.
Okay, or Ruthenian, etc. Okay. It says, Father, I'm close to converting to Orthodoxy, but last month I saw some videos from Duong, and I want to watch many papacy and filioque. Now I determined the Roman Church is false after seeing who invented the Roman Catholic Church video. Well, glory to God. That's good. That's a positive. Number one, my last problem is that Duong, in his video, made an argument regarding the Athanasian Creed. He said it contained filioque from probably 600s, and that many Western saints taught it as Orthodox. One saint even testified that it was required of bishops to recite it during their ordination. He made that argument in this video as to why Catholic, not Orthodox, from memory. So let's first off, dealing with the claim. There's Herman again. The first thing is that ultimately, Duong's text is something like 600 pages. The Roman Catholic solution to throwing texts at you when you analyze their texts is to throw more texts at you. So he's made a gigantic book of quotes, and he's referring to the Athanasian Creed. He's not aware that he's lying, either one, that there are two versions of the Athanasian Creed that have circulated. Some may have been interpolated. He is right that bishops did use the quicumque vult. However, not all of them contain the filioque, so it's not a valid answer. Welcome back, Herman. What's your question? By the way, Father Boniface, hello, benedicite. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, the Greek old calendarists, like Callinicos, right? Is he was he ordained from the Matthewites, or I have no idea about the history of
no. He there was what happened was after the Florinites had no bishops, they were given a bishop by Rocor secretly. By Rocor bishops, Bishop Akakius of Talantian, which was recognized in 1969 as they made more bishops. Callinicos was, I want to say, of the second generation of true Orthodox bishops in Greece. The first generation consisting of 6 to 12 bishops, but I don't think he was one of the first ones. But he was an archimandrite at that time. He's always been, he was always part of the true Orthodox Church of Greece, to my knowledge.
Was Cyprian condemned? Was he a heretic?
Yes.
This is by Roac. This is
no. He was condemned by the Archbishop Auxentius as well.
Yes, I do know that. The problem is with the Cyprian condemnation, and this is something I did want to talk about because it is problematic to say the least, because its Cyprianism doesn't exist anymore. There is no synod in resistance anymore, and so, but what I don't want to do, and I think it would be a disservice and deceitful, would be to say that Cyprian was just isolated and condemned as a heretic, but he was involved in much of the mess in true Orthodoxy in the 1980s, both with Greeks and Russians. I also don't want to misrepresent the position historically of the true Orthodox Russians before the condemnations of Sergianism that came out in the late 90s. So I, as somebody who has studied the history and is putting a historical book together on true Orthodoxy throughout the world, I feel like leaving that out is a sin.
Yeah, you really are you gonna? That's gonna be so amazing when you release that book, because it's gonna clear out so many
I don't know about that. I think it'll just for people with the intention of causing problems, it'll be useful for causing problems. Unfortunately, history is it is what it is, but misusing history, Roman Catholics misuse history all the time.
Yeah, but I think you're the most knowledgeable on the internet.
I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable. The problem is, being the most open doesn't mean I'm the most knowledgeable. It just means I'm the most open.
I have a question. So, if you take somebody Metropolitan Anthony Karpovitsky, right? and his doctrine on, the dogma of Gesumain or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the dogma of redemption. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Remember that. All right. So the viewpoint of Roquor at that time was that, he wasn't being malicious with it, so it's hard to say he was necessarily a heretic. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case with Cyprian, but could it be that way? You know what I mean?
To be fair, no, that's not the historical position. That the problem is that's the historical, what's the word I'm looking for? Nostalgic position of the Roquor. But in fact, in Roquor, at the time, condemned him. Other people thought he was a heretic. His biggest defender was Sergius, who he considered a friend until many years later. So that I wouldn't want to. There are, I don't want to, malign the name of the church abroad, but let's not also go into creative history to say.
Well, what I meant by that is that, of course, the teaching was wrong, right? But is there something like, okay, this is a wrong teaching, but when does it become a heresy? Isn't it when it's like malicious or something like?
Right, and I don't
corrected.
Wrong.
Yeah, he needed to be corrected, and unfortunately, this was all happening at the time of the Russian Revolution. So they also had to deal with Yugoslavias. They had to deal with. I mean, it was a terrible time all around. And that's just not putting aside dealing with the communists. So
I have a question.
Sure.
So you said you're not too knowledgeable. Even you, how can me as a layman keep up with all these schism reunion?
I hate to say this, Herman, but the best way you can do that is by actually being part of the church. Like for most of us,
I'm not TO though.
What?
I'm not TO yet.
I know that, but my point is, when you're in the church, these things become more valid. These things become more valuable. For example, I do not you. If you ask me who the World Orthodox Metropolitan of Poland was, or Czechoslovakia, or so, I would have no idea. I would literally just go to Google because they are not relevant to me. So you see, it becomes a question of relevance. I understand these things not only because I've been Orthodox a long time, but because these are people that I know. When we talk about, say, Metropolitan Demetrius, I remember when he was a monk in HTM because I visited HTM when I was young. The point is, these things don't become relevant to you until they're relevant to you. So this is part of the reason why a lot of World Orthodox who don't like us have terrible historical explanations, because they don't recognize what's going on has real import. To them, it's all a joke, and then it becomes a much more confusing mess. And they're like, how do they even live like this? And the reason we live like this is because we don't have to waste brain power figuring out if Alexandria is Orthodox.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But don't you still have to know some history to know that you're not in a Cyprian sect or whatever,
No, because remember that when you're dealing with, from my perspective, here's how I see things. I see things as the Church of Russia, the Church of Greece, the Church of Bulgaria, the Church of Romania. There can be splits within Russia, the Church of Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, etc., but we're aware of them because that's what we follow. And so it's not confusing to us because our diptychs, our recognitions are different, but we just don't pay attention to their world.
Okay.
And it helps too when you got a bishop or a confessor you can go to and ask questions, that either lived through it or knows it well enough to give you an answer, where you don't have to guess.
Reconquista asks, when in your World Orthodox Church, when you're in World Orthodox churches, you notice all the innovations. Yes, but if that's your only frame of reference, unfortunately, people are like, well, I guess that's all there is. And that's the argument that many World Orthodox clergy will even give them. They'll be like, this is the way it's always been done. It's a lie, but that's what they'll claim. What is HTM? Stands for Holy Transfiguration Monastery in Brookline, Boston. John MC says, in our old parish, we just talked quietly among ourselves, said prayers, attended church, and all the blah, 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 and opinions and schism and realignments came with. Exactly. It's just like, oh, okay, that happened this week. I completely, that's kind of the normative thing. Did you have any other questions for us there, Herman?
So is it Like much easier in practice, I guess, than it seems online, I guess. Yeah.
It's much easier. Orthodoxy is always much easier in practice than it is online. I highly recommend not doing Orthodoxy online and finding a church. Are you in the U.S. or where are you?
No, I'm in Northern Europe.
In Northern Europe. What part?
I'm in Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah.
I actually think there are churches either, I want to say Sweden or Norway.
There's a GOCK monastery in Sweden, I think.
Oh, okay. I don't know Europe that well. Do you know of this GOC monastery, Herman?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, well, you know where to go to church then.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for us?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, you have a great night. God bless you. All righty. Moreover says Jade Ire Icon's coming soon. Reconquista says Sweden has Muslim problems. I don't live in Sweden. It's God bless. Just hopefully, don't get eaten by Muslims or something. Let's see here. All right, so I think John MC says thank you, Saba, for info on Father DCS. It's Sisoyev. I'm gonna have to repronounce that because this is just someone I just didn't care too much about. Okay, item similar info but cannot verify source. Okay. Does anyone? I'm going back and seeing if I missed anything. Does anyone know who killed Brother Jose Munoz? No. Officially, no. Although obviously, we suspect that it was probably. We suspect it was probably someone trying to steal the icon. Unfortunately. But let's see here. Did I miss anything? Are there any? Okay. Blessings, Father. Lately, the new calendarist church in Constantinople, Greece, Alexandria, Antiochia stopped reading the anathemas on the Sunday of Orthodoxy. Your comment, please? Well, if you needed more proof that they aren't Orthodox, that's probably it. I mean, wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. Like that, like just when you think they can't get less Orthodox, they manage to find a way. All right, so I don't see any new questions. Oh wait, what's this? One of the recent converts got their knickers in a twist and their feathers ruffled and said, "Did you hear what he said?" 3 months later, no one could recall anyone's name. Yep, that sounds about accurate. All right, so I think I've answered this first question. Let's get to the second one. Reconquista, the anathemas on the Sunday of Orthodoxy occur on the Vespers the day before. So they actually occur on Sunday, on the Saturday, late Saturday for Sunday Vespers. And basically, they are a list of the historical anathemas from the Council of Nicaea to today. And so what they, some of them are abridged, some of them are shorter. You can see the longer ones that are very good. And then basically...
We read the anathema against ecumenism, and yes, thank God.
And so, basically, in true Orthodox churches, you'll hear the anathema against ecumenism. Sometimes you'll hear an anathema against Sergianism, depending on the church. I know ROAC has one against Sergianism. I'm not sure if we have one.
We didn't read it, but
we got one for
we
collaborators. I think we have one. We read one for collaborators with.
Okay.
All
right, so they just lumped it in with the historical collaborators. All right. Well, I did not know that. All right. So yeah, that's what happens. Basically, it'll be like we'll read this thing and they read off the Orthodox and they praise them, then they read off the heretics and the anathema. It's a really cool service. If you missed it this year, just plan for it next year. It's gonna be kind of awesome. Does it include Sergianism? According to Unseen Warfare, it does, because he is at the Abbey in terms of collaborators. I know with ROAC, Usava is here representing. It's directly named. Did you say you didn't do it this year?
Well, I don't think we've ever read the anathema against Sergianism specifically. If that is something, at least we do the anathema against ecumenism, but maybe it just hasn't been added. I'm not sure.
The anathema against ecumenism, against Sergianism, if I remember ROAC, it has a very interesting start. It's like for those who who procured the assistance of the secular bosses. And so, you know, but I'm surprised that.
Yeah, we have something similar to that. I think it's, you know, whatever the anathema of the Catacomb Church put out in the 30s, it's related to that one, you know.
Okay.
But I don't quote me on that.
All right. So question number 2, as it is listed from Peter, is also, could you explain how does Orthodox Church approach first millennium papacy? I've heard some call him just a Bishop Patrick who have no authority, overseas like Antioch, Alexandria, Constantinople. Some call them that they're like Archbishop to Patriarch, meaning they have some authority over bishops, that it comes from being the more important see. I didn't see the opinion that they were superior to other bishops, but they didn't have things like infallibility and indefectibility. Yeah, really, it's just that the highest ranking prelate in worldwide has the right of appellate jurisdiction. They can hear cases canonically from outside of their jurisdiction, appeals if locally they fail. So that's it. There's not. I wouldn't say that there is a taxis, there is order, and I believe that Uniates and Roman Catholics and Unionists are misrepresenting what that taxis and order is. So that's basically what it comes down to. Let me see here.
So here it is, if you want to hear it. It's to the persecutors of the Church of Christ, the impious apostates who lifted their hands against the anointed of God, who slay the sacred ministers, who trample the holy things underfoot, who destroy the temples of God, who subject our brother to inquisition and have defiled our homeland. Anathema.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Okay. One moment. Okay. And then, okay, let's see here. What's this? All right, let's see if we can get to more of a brethren asks, who decided on what is anathema? The church decides. The church, whether in representation under one or one bishop or a local synod, all the way up to the universal, if it's necessary. Many anathemas died out locally within dioceses because they were just local heretics that never spread anywhere. But when it gets global, it has to be dealt with globally. And finally, Peter, I would like to mention to you, if you are concerned about respect for the Holy Fathers of the Western Church, etc., and their usages and prayers, I would recommend joining, considering the Autonomous Metropolia, going to orthodoxmetropolia.org. Woodchuck Norris 80 asked earlier this week, I would love a show about the 2007 All Diaspora Council, which resulted in the Roquefort MP Union. I would like to know why it's not to be considered a free Russian council that our Holy Fathers awaited. I would like to know what criticisms may invalidate it and who is not represented. I am sure everyone's going to have an opinion here. But let's get started. Okay, so first off, you need to talk about the lead up to the 2007 All Diaspora Council. And what that means is, well, hold on, we got a question. Does anyone know what jurisdiction Brother Nathaniel is doing? I don't know that he left. I think he's pretending and trying to get attention. But I read this because he was involved in 2007. So, he was doing his own thing. If we're gonna talk, we have to talk about 2001. We have to talk about the period from the 1990s onwards to 2007, because it is important to remember that this was a period where Roquefort was helping rebuild the church in Russia. They didn't do everything perfectly. They failed in a number of ways, but they did effectively give new bishops to Russia that were under their jurisdiction, that had hundreds, thousands of people with them, so on and so forth. So this existed in the 1990s all the way to the early 2000s. You need to have that in perspective because you will not have a complete picture of what Roquefort was if you don't do that. So they had a free Russian church in Russia. They had the free Russian church of, outside of Russia, which was Roquefort. Eventually, they entered into communion with the Cyprianites, the Bulgarians, the Romanians. This was a very, very large global community. And within, between 1992 to probably 1999, they managed to demolish and collapse everything that had been created and had been rebuilt there. And that would form churches like the ROAC. When they found those, there were 5 bishops or 6 bishops when they separated and formed the Frock Saba.
It was 6 bishops: Vladika Valentin, Vladika Lazar, Vladika Agafangel, Seraphim. Tikhon wasn't with them. Vinyamania was with them.
Yeah,
and I forget the name of the last one.
I'm tempted to say Anthony of Uransk, but in any case,
yes, Vladika Anthony of Uransk was one of them. Yeah.
So, in any case, the point is they had to separate for administrative purposes. They didn't separate from actual communion, but from administrative wise, they said we need to administer ourselves. The Russian government's on our back because we're hamstrung if we're waiting for New York to do things. So they used Ukaz 362 to kind of declare their freedom there and try to survive on their own. So now you're looking, this is 1998 to 1999. We get to the 2000 Sabor, which is also when the 2000 Sabor of the MP happened, and the aftermath, which led to Metropolitan Vitali separating from the Synod. So you had, and then a lot of the Russian parishes that stayed with Rokor and with Rokor then went with Bishop Lazar and Benjamin. And so once you have that in perspective, then you can kind of understand the 2007 union. It was not a 2007 union of all of Rokor. It was not a free Russian council that our Holy Fathers awaited by any means. It was not, because it was literally grandstanded by Putin, run by the Moscow Patriarchate, and the remaining Rokor bishops who had joined the Rokor MP basically did what they were told. So to answer that question, you're talking about all those free Russian bishops, all those free Russian clergy and people throughout Russia, and those who followed them outside, and none of them were represented. None of them were represented at all. And so even in the 2007 union, everyone knew it was a fait accompli. They knew that if they didn't get out now, they were probably going to lose their buildings, etc. And that's what happened. And so that is kind of why we don't accept it. It was not a valid council. It was not a free council. So I hope that answers that question. And with that, we are now out of questions here. So Saba, you've popped on. What was your thinking? What is any interesting?
Oh, well, I sent you an email the other day that had some questions in it, historical topics. I don't know if you received that email.
Hold on. You have no idea how many emails I get, Saba.
Oh, yes, I understand.
Let's see. Question for the Sunday stream. I did read this. I will be more than likely traveling to Gainesville, Georgia, and will not. Okay, so you good thing you made it here, I guess. My first topic of discussion comes from the Wikipedia page, Western Rite Orthodoxy, section 20th century, on a thought I thought was most curious. Quoted, some speculate Bishop Matthew's 1909 Old Catholic Missal and Ritual may have been approved for a Western Rite liturgy by Pope Photius of Alexandria. Both unions were contracted in quick succession and only lasted for an effective period of a few months. Though the union was protested by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Matthew's group claimed communion was never formally broken off. I've never heard of this. If it was something that did happen, it could not have happened for more than a few months. It would have had more of an effect. Arnold Harris Matthew. Good. Now, he was the one. Wasn't he made by Wasn't he made by the Monophysites?
No, that was René Villiers, who was
Oh,
made
that's Viat.
by the
Viat.
Monophysites.
Viat. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy was he was a bishop in the Union of Utrecht.
It mentions in his Wikipedia article a bit more information about the supposed union. However, no one actually knows if it took place. I thought it was most curious because I had always heard that Patriarch Photius of Alexandria was actually a rather solid bishop. He opposed the new calendar, and he was basically exiled from Alexandria by Freemasons because he refused to accept the new calendar. So I was just curious of like why was the Greek churches, because it mentions he went to Antioch as well, why were they having anything to do with these old Catholics? Were the Greeks also trying to set up a Western Rite?
No, the Greeks were trying to facilitate union with the Anglicans, if I remember correctly. I just wanted to throw out a 1 second, please. It's a dog. Okay, I wanted to say thank you to SA. Thank you so much. I'm still trying to figure out whether I am doing the right thing by using what's the word I'm looking for?
Initials.
Initials as opposed to names. I'm still learning. If people would prefer their names, let me know. I will. I'm keeping a ticker. So but thank you, SF. I think did I get that right? No, I didn't. Okay, I'll change. It's the wrong initial. I'll change it. But in any case, thank you so much. We wouldn't be able to keep the show on without it, and we really appreciate it. So, okay, corrected that. So SM. And let's see here. Love to see you, Matthew. I asked an old friend in New York who knew much about Brother Nathan. He does not know. I don't think he split. I saw in a live stream the day after he said he was leaving that he said something like, "Oh, I just say things. I mean, am I leaving? I don't know." And I was like, "Oh God, it's just another attempt for him to get attention."
Didn't he say something weird yesterday or the day before about like joining, like?
Well, he started
something?
talking about going after, all the Orthodox beliefs and things like that. Like he was saying that a few days ago. That he was just like he's attacking concepts of dead saints and stuff. He just started sounding like a weird Protestant guy. Cornelio Mihai Magdaleno, good evening, Father bless. Okay, God bless you. Greetings from the UK. I don't know why I put that up on the screen, probably because I just like the color yellow, or so I have no idea. I just I'm not that smart. Okay, so we got that question answered. Let's get back to your thingy there, Saba. Hold on. So yeah, from what I understand, with the Greeks, they had a kind of like they took in Anglican priests, and I'm not even sure if they left them left or right. I don't think they did, but it was really uncanonical the way they did things, and they were very much against the projects of JJ Overbeck. Let me see here. And then the second question, Kiev promoted the Old Catholic movement, which is not regularly up. Mentions about the story of Julius Overbeck. I'm not aware of much between the Russian Church and Old Catholics. Well, I mean, they were there at the Bonn Conference, but they got sabotaged. Ultimately, the Anglicans realized what was being planned and purposely tried to work the Old Catholics until they kind of joined them. He's asked, were there a lot of people in Russia trying to get the ROC to go in communion with Old Catholics at the time besides Metropolitan Vicaria and Julius Ulrich? No. It was really more of a quest because the interest wasn't there in Russia. The interest was in England. So, that you would, I don't think there were any people clamoring for the Western Rite in Moscow. My other two smaller questions you can answer on the stream, depending on whether or not they're good for the program. I know there was a famous church you mentioned dedicated to St. Isidore and Leander. I forgot the name of it. If you can remind me of the details. I am not sure what you're referring to there. What are you referring to?
I know you mentioned there was a famous church that was Western Rite in New York State, and I thought it was
New York
dedicated to
City. It wasn't famous. That was the church I got married in. and my my youngest son was baptized in.
Yes, I want to know what the name of that place is. I just forgot.
It was the Iglesia Hispana Ortodoxa de San Isidoro y San Leandro, or the Hispanic Orthodox Church of Saint Isidore and Leander.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
And they had no real canonical. The priests there had no real canonical foundation. I detail that in my book, Between Madness and Death. That if you look at that on Academia, it concludes the whole story there. The Orthodox field said, "Why did he leave?" Not sure who the why is on this one. Why did I put that on the screen? It's not a super chat. I was going to add, if he actually makes a split or went anywhere, Brother Nathaniel makes very mercurial statements. I agree 100%. I don't believe he really went anywhere. I believe he's crying for attention. Cornelius says, we celebrated the Sunday of Orthodoxy in my parish today, and my parish never proclaims the anathema because our priest says we need a bishop there for that. Is this just a Russian practice for it to be so? That's a good question. I'm not sure about that. I think that might just be a cathedral usage, but I'm not sure. But then again, I feel like it's always been optional. I don't think it's necessarily that it has to be, but that it must be in the cathedral, but not that it must be, period. Let me see here.
Everything I've seen in Russia, now this is Moscow Patriarchate, granted, but I'm sure people in Suzda probably do this as well, is the deacon actually reads the anathemas. I don't think, I mean, we read them today.
No, yeah, they're not read by the bishop, but I think what he's trying to say is that he was wondering why his parish didn't say it. The first thing, Cornelio, to remember is that it's actually said on the Saturday, not on the Sunday. So, but if he's saying the parish never proclaims the anathemas, well, it's a different issue. Okay. So let's see here. We're going on the 43rd minute of the second hour. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody who has helped today. We could really use it. Basically, we're behind on everything. Things have fallen back, and we're trying to just make it work. So thank you to those who were able to donate. Tikon says, if you're not reading anathemas on the first Sunday of Lent, are you even Orthodox? Yes, on the first Sunday Vespers. But yeah, apparently, from what Zalotes says, apparently there's in many of the Greek churches and the national churches, the World Orthodox, many churches aren't reading them at all. John MC says it has not been necessary for a bishop to be physically present. Okay, I'll take it. The point is that, so now what if they're just not reading anathemas at all? I mean, that's different. Maybe they won't have a Sunday of Orthodoxy next year. Who knows? Maybe they'll call it like Sunday of the Icon Brotherhood or something. Are we doing anything for Pascha? Sorry, that was a different question. Hold on.
I guess I don't want to take the floor here, but I did want to mention Vladika Ekarkie of the Serbian Orthodox churches in the hospital.
Okay. I'm sorry.
He apparently had some sort of issue with his heart. So if people could please pray for Vladika Ekarkie.
Okay. Definitely, Vladika. Pray for Vladika Ekarkie. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And so let us see what else is going on here. Let me see. All right, and so, yeah, definitely we'll do that. All right, so I guess the next thing to cover, I wanted to actually cover the question of true Orthodox unity and the difficulties of this, but we got some interesting topics with some full explanations, so I think this was pretty good. I guess the last thing I'll touch is this this alleged 12-hour stream. For those who are not aware, last week was mentioned, if the idea of a 24-hour stream was mentioned, I mentioned that is impossible because I have a family and I'm not going to make their lives worse for what sounds like entertainment purposes. I can't imagine what could not be accomplished in 24 hours that couldn't be accomplished in 20 hours or 10 hours. So I okayed the idea of a 12-hour stream. As of the last time I checked, there were $150 towards a topic, and I need to have that topic before we proceed. And basically, looks like you're gonna get one more shot on Sunday. But you have to list off what you want to happen for the 12-hour stream. I'm breaking it up in 3 parts. And so if enough people can get on $300 for a 3-hour stream, then we'll scale up every time we hit another $300. I realize that means I've raised the price from $1,000 to $1,200. And that's partially because I don't want to sit in a chair for 12 hours. But if I'm going to do that for the sake of the fans and the friends in the community, fine. But I want the topic. And if we don't make it to the first 300 by next week, the magical TBD stream of the 21st will disappear. So that's that. Because ultimately we have to kind of get through that. John says, can we get a Father Joseph cooking session in the stream? Yes. If you can get $300 worth of people saying they want me to do cooking, I will look up the Lenten recipe and I will camera my kitchen myself. Okay? We'll see. But if you don't get to the 300 with it clearly labeled for that stream, you get nothing. You get nothing. And so let me see here. Let me see what. Yeah, that's from last week. The Orthodox Field. Woohoo!
Oh, Father.
Yeah.
I did want to bring something up that might be interesting for the stream.
Sure.
After the last,
I want to address 2 things though, because these are 2 controversial things. Mukbang, no. ASMR, no. Don't be weird. Topics or doesn't have a cooking stream, that's valid. It's information. ASMR and mukbang are not information. They're trash.
So,
okay, go ahead.
This last stream where we talked about the photos from the trip to the Midwest, someone reached out to me from the Free Serbian Orthodox Church in Australia under Vladika Christopher.
Okay.
And he was just surprised that someone even acknowledged that they exist. And he clued me in that the Free Serbian Orthodox Church very recently, within the last month, actually glorified a new saint.
Okay.
Saint Petar of Canberra.
Okay.
Vladika Petar Bakarovic, which there's a Russian and a Serbian Wikipedia article if you look it up in Cyrillic. But he reposed in 1988. He was one of the bishops that was consecrated with the help of Metropolitan Grigory Uyachuk, the UAOC bishop. But yes, he was. Yes. He was glorified very recently. They started making icons of him. There's been apparently some miracles that happened at his grave. But yes, I did want to bring that up since apparently, obviously, as you know, the Free Serbs have very little online presence.
Well, they're also divided all into different groups, so that's part of it.
Yes. But the group in Australia under Vladika Christopher glorified St. Petar of Canberra.
That's the one under Metropolitan Fungal, correct?
Yes. I think they consider themselves to be an independent thing, but they were in communion with Roca, and now they're Roca A, and now they're in communion with GOCK and that whole metropolis.
Well, if you get more information on it, please send it by to me, etc. And
I have a Russian Wikipedia article. I'll see if I can copy it, and I'll post it in the chat.
Metropolitan John was talking about the Free Serbs the other day. Actually, I forget what he was saying, but
interesting.
I think they were in communion at one time, or he had some relations with them.
Well, it's a long story. That's talking about the period of that's the period where Lazar Pahalo was kind of angling for communion between the Serbians and the Greeks under Archbishop Maxentius. John MC writes, last time I heard anathemas read in full in our parish was almost 50 years ago. It included anathemas against theosophy and Gurdjiefism, and many Gurdjievites used to hold Panagida for October 30th. Orthodox Traditionalist Publication says, what's going on? What is going on? More people are learning about true Orthodoxy. More people are fighting for the truth, and I am just trying to deal. Reconquista says, is it possible to be a world Orthodox saint and not know about the true Orthodox split? No, I don't believe it is. There's no chance of that whatsoever. Like, I can't stress that clearly enough. Let me see here. Okay, you sent me this in the private chat, Sabo, which is great. Like, I mean, I don't know. Are we talking about this now? Is this the thing? I mean, what's happening here?
No, that was the article you requested about.
Yeah, I thought you were going to email it to me. Okay, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. Anyway, let's take a look here. So I think we've covered that. Would you believe it actually didn't? Maybe it's this. Okay, yeah, Petr Vankarovich. Okay, he died in 1988 in Canberra. Okay. Yeah, I'd have to read more about it. I mean, I'm curious about it. Oh, interesting news for those who are in the generic apologetics field. It is worth noting that I'll just put it on the screen here. Give me just a moment. Hold on here. Just quickly build it up. Pop, 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 pop. And for those who are not aware of it yet, those who live under a rock and only come out to watch us, which doesn't exist really, we're just cooler people than everyone. Let's see here. I'm going to put this up. For those who are familiar with the Apostate Prophet channel on YouTube, apparently he has decided as of today to be accepted as a catechumen into Orthodoxy. I'm not sure how to feel about this. He is in World Orthodoxy. That is a World Orthodox church. But, yeah. So that's an interesting thing. Good, many years to him if, he makes it through. I don't know. He seems to be very proto-Zionist, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But, many years to him. So hopefully he finds true Orthodoxy. Let's kill that screen then. Is it possible? I'm trying to understand the Matthewites who elected 3 bishops uncanonically. What is the proper way to elect bishops? No, what happened was it's very simple. Let me answer these in order. He's a former the Matthewites. He's not a Muslim. He's a former Muslim. Yeah. Trying to understand the Matthewites who elected 3 bishops uncanonically. What actually happened was this: is that ultimately, with the imprisonment of I want to say Germanos of Zakynthos and the separation of Chrysostomos of Florina, who I think actually he might have been in prison, but he also didn't agree to do consecrations with Bishop Matthew. Bishop Matthew sent his parishioners and people all over the Orthodox world to see if they could find bishops who could help with the consecration, because it looked like outside of these 2 bishops in jail, he was the only bishop left. So he didn't. Apparently, his followers said they couldn't find anyone, and so they asked Bishop Matthew to consecrate another bishop. So he consecrated another bishop single-handedly. And then those two bishops, they consecrated an entire synod. So they consecrated a synod of 12 bishops to stay kind of safe. That was a move that was highly condemned. And ultimately they attempted to correct it on the Sobor of 1971 with Rocor. Okay, so I hope that helps. So yeah, they kind of did single-handedly. They tried to fix it. It wasn't totally fixed. The Matthewites have split into different factions. Some of them recognize that they had to fix it, like the main body, the Stephanites, and the other ones don't. But some of their, I'd say that in the case of many Matthewites, their confession of faith is sacrosanct. Some Matthewites go a little overboard, which I think is unhealthy, but not all of them.
Remember that thing I sent you? It was like a document or something. I forget what it was talking about. I mean, it was talking about the single-handed consecration, but I don't remember what was in it.
If you don't remember it, I don't.
Yeah, well, okay.
Let me see here. But send it to me again if you do. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Goodwill. It's a story. Anastasi says, I agree. NFTU and True Orthodox News and Apologetics, much cooler stream than the other Orthodox streams. I have to get to the lie. I've been saying for the past 2 years now. We've been on Facebook since 26 on YouTube since 2016, and on Facebook since 2018, or vice versa. However, my memory was shot when someone from a guy named Young Penitent, I've been on his show, mentioned on Twitter that he had been on for 12 years, and that was the longest any Orthodox he thought maybe was on YouTube. Give me a moment. And then I found this. I remembered, wait a second. We were on the YouTube first. And I know that because of the fact that we had videos going way back then. And so I'm going to put it up. Let me see here. Let me just put this up because it's a classic screen, and you can see how terrible video resolution was way back when. And here we go.
The classic.
So this was put up. I want to say it was put up in 2009. So I don't know if there's any. I thought there was sound. Oh, it's because it's off.
This is a canonization of Metropolitan Philip, St.
Yep,
Philip?
that is correct. It was put up November 28th, 2008. And yes, that's our camera work. Yes, that was us in the back. Lanika John was actually at this service with us in the back.
What parish is this?
This is Holy Trinity Church in Astoria, New York.
Oh,
I've been there.
Yeah, if you'll notice, Savo can tell you that you can see the angle we're from is we're actually on a second floor kind of scaffold over the back of the church, which is why you can see it so far down.
Yeah.
So it's a huge church. It's beautiful. We'll just keep that in the background while I try to answer some questions. Hold on. Oh, I did this wrong. Anyway, so yeah, let me see if I can get some questions here answered. Cornelio says the only reason I don't go to the Matthewite church near me is because they deny the sanctity of St. John Maximovich, but they haven't had its heart to Metropolitan Britain very kind. I've heard that a few times. Yeah, it does bother me, and I don't. I can't, for that reason, I can't, like, if I see a church doing that, I can't be part of it. Reconquista says, Father, are you on Gab or free speech extremists? I am on Gab. So is Bishop Enoch. Quite a few people are on Gab, actually. And my username is newsnftu, just like my Twitter account. Let me see here. Okay. Orthodox Traditionalist Publications, and I wonder what their reasoning is for rejecting St. John. That's very unusual. Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, there are a strand of Matthewites, I will say this, where I learned even recently that they like will go so far as to say Saint Tikhon, of Moscow, the martyr, was an ecumenist and he wasn't a martyr at all. Like, it's a really that strange kind of grouping within the Matthewites. I don't know how they can last much longer, just denying the grace of the church around them. I think that's that. Well, go ahead.
That's some crazy Matthewites. I haven't interacted with him. My godson Johan has interacted with Matthewites who tried to tell him that Saint Jose Munoz Cortez was with them and that Saint Theophano Poltava was with them. So if they're not denying Rokor saints, they're just trying to claim that they were secretly Matthewites, which is even just as goofy.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that there are that particular group, if I remember correctly, they do like saying things like the 1971 correction was for them to correct the Rokor. But yeah.
Oh, is that Vatikan Dranik in the video?
Probably.
That sounded like Vatikan Dranik.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. This is 2008.
So what do you think the reason for rejecting Saint Tikhon is because of his comments that he said something about the new calendar?
No,
but he wasn't accepting it.
I think it's more deeply, and I hate to say this, but that's a renovationist stripe where suddenly the world of Orthodoxy becomes yours to correct. I think it's a very dangerous place to be.
Yep.
Let me see here. St. John says St. Marcello is a 15-minute walk from Holy Trinity. He's not wrong. It is literally, you can walk from one to the other.
Yes, we walked to when me, Johan, and Fyodor were there. We were parked by St. Marcella's, and on the way to Holy Trinity, we stopped by the St. Irene Cristovalantu Church, the one that was formerly with the Macarians, and we venerate the relic of St. Irene Cristovalantu. They have a right hand there and a reliquary, and you have to walk by it to get to Holy Trinity if you're walking into St. Marcella's. It's
okay,
quite amazing.
Is there still that spot where that famous photo is, where it's like Bishop Petros and St. John and Archbishop Averki or something?
That was the original building, and I think that's long since gone. I think the original St. Marcella's Brotherhood was actually a few blocks away, but I could be wrong.
Okay, let's switch up for a second. Ortho Adjust. I will put this up on the screen. Good evening, gentlemen. If I could ask, please pray for my 3-month-old son, Herman. He has very high spikes and fever. Very long weekend, trials and tribulations. Thank you. If you do, I appreciate it. Servant of God, Herman, preserve unto life, health, and many years.
Господи помилуй.
Let's see here. Okay, so we talked about that. Why do some Orthodox think martial arts is not compatible with Orthodoxy? I think a lot of it has to do with the fact, the origin of where they come from. 1 second. Let me get to the second video. And just go there. And so in any case, the reason why is because a lot of people look at the point of origin, and I understand that, like with yoga, it makes sense. Those are Hindu spiritual practices. With martial arts, sometimes there are Buddhist spiritual practices involved. So if you're interested in martial arts, I would suggest taking all that stuff out as much as you can. Let me see who's there. Which bishop is that? That is, I forget who that was. I think it was one of the, I don't know if it was a Greek or a Romanian bishop or a Bulgarian. Then That's the main thing, and sometimes it's just based on if it's none of that's involved, then it's just based on simple ignorance on the thing. Let me see here. Even though my parish is Rocorn P, there's a quite big reverence for Saint Lucaria recently, thanks to an icon I brought. Yes, I'm World Orthodox for now. Well, just keep praying and keep looking for a bishop nearby. Dre, can I ask Felica to commemorate him? I would assume you could. I guess I don't know. Let me see. That reminds me of the time Saba and me asked the guys at Jordanville if they had his icon.
I was being kind of mean when I said that, but yes.
Okay. Well, this is.
What did they say?
Well, first off, I don't know if I told this story, but what's that guy's name? The guy who was attending the bookstore that day was some Roosh. That I had no idea who he was.
Roosh
For
V?
one, yes, I had no idea who he was until like Fyodor told me. But that was the guy that was at the bookstore. I had no idea who he was, and I remember being locked in that bookstore the previous year.
Yeah, I know.
So I was,
Right, yeah.
yeah, so I was kind of just being, kind of mean, and I said, "Do you have any icons of Saint Glyceria, Romania, by chance?" So I was just kind of being mean spirited. So
I mean, it is a valid question, though.
Hey, welcome, John. What's your question?
Oh, I don't have a question. I just thought I'd
Yeah.
chill on the stream if I'm allowed to.
No, but
I was gonna actually mention about the story at Jordanville. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I didn't hear what you said. Hello?
Oh, all right. Never mind. I had a technical issue. Oh no,
Okay.
me and Sava walked into the bookstore at Jordanville, and we were walking around. I bought a few icons and a liturgical
Well,
book of Levita.
OTP says they still make the icons of Saint Lucaria at Jordanville. I'm giving you that one as a freebie OTP. Roosh is trying to be a monk. Last I heard he had a wife and kids. If he's trying to be a monk, that's not right. Oh wow, gross.
with
that's crazy.
the martial arts question, I guess I will state. I used to practice martial arts, however, due to my health, I really can't anymore.
Doesn't Father Mark teach martial arts?
Yes, he is. I could go ask Ezekiel real quick. He would know. Because Ezekiel also practices
Well,
martial
I'm not
arts. But
condemning it. I think it's okay to practice martial arts as long as there's no Eastern spiritual practices in it, which I don't think he does.
yes, Father Antonio also used to practice martial arts.
I know.
I don't. Yes, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Of course, as long as there's no like open paganism in it.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
OTP says he's not married. He lives out near Jordanville. Okay, so maybe who knows? All right. Okay. Well, we'll say goodbye to this glorification. That was nice, and we're back. Okay.
I was gonna mention, Father. I was gonna mention the story about Singlicary and me and Sava's experience at Jordanville.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Didn't we talk about that? Isn't that the time you got locked in the store?
No, that
That
was
was
when I was with
last
Dick
year.
Andre.
Okay.
Yeah, the story about Singlicary was last year.
Well,
Me and
OTP says they still make the icons of Saint
yeah,
Lucaria at Jordanville.
Yes,
yeah,
they do.
they do. It's on their computer. We asked them if they have it. Me and Sava look at each other, we're smirking, and I was like, I asked him, asked the question. So he says, "Do you guys have it?" And the guy's like, "Okay, let me check." He goes in the computer. He checks. He's like, "Yeah, we have the one of Singlicary." It was pretty wild.
Okay. Um, funny stuff. Let me see. Hold on.
Father, I did ask in the chat about the 1934 apparition of the cross in Crete. Want to know what you thought about it.
You asked me to check it.
I had asked you about it in on the YouTube comments.
I tried to get everyone, but I missed that one.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I haven't had a chance to look at it, if I'm being honest.
No,
So I
it's all
have no
right.
idea what to think.
No worries, Father.
Reconquista says, "Who's Saint Glyceria?" That is Saint Glyceria of Romania, the first glorified hierarch of the Orthodox of Romania. John of Z says, "Our priests and generals that you can study martial arts, but don't get involved with anything to do with chakras." Exactly. Sunrise says, "We need more clarity and nuance." Bishop Luke loves St. Glyceria from OTP. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's take a look. So we are going on the 11th minute of the third hour. So once again, support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or Monero. Or on Give, Send, Go. And I'm going to put up that. And a thank you for your donation. For SM for 100, JC for 50, KK for 10. Super chats, Z and RO for 5 each. Thank you so much for that. And finally, if you want to jump on the stream or make a comment, just click the link in the top of the chat. I think we will be going probably if I don't see too many more questions, but if we'll go probably for another 20 minutes or so.
So someone brought up the Christians in Syria getting killed, and Musk is reposted or something. He's asking how many were killed there.
Musk has reposted something about the
Christians in Syria. Yeah.
I'm not sure how to feel about this because I hear conflicting stories that the Christians are dying, the Christians are not. It's all centered around Latakia, and it's amazing that it's kind of mixed between, like, you'll read stories, massacres of Christians and Alawites. Then you'll read stories of massacres of Sunnis and Alawites. Then you'll read stories of massacres of Alawites.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And I've seen that too.
OTP says, "I'm out for the night. I'll text you, NFTU. God bless you." But the reason that this happened, from what I understand, is because less than a week ago, Alawite forces attempted to take these two towns, and they managed to take these two seaside towns. Yep, I saw that. Take care. God bless. And then basically, it was quashed by Jelani's government, and so they're saying that some people are saying this is about revenge. That they're just killing off the families of the soldiers that attacked them. I think all of it is horrible. Now, I know that Patriarch John of the Antiochians has said, no, this is definitely all Christians, but then at the same time, the Antiochian Patriarch had said, anyone of any religion can come hide in our churches. I question how much, what the strategic logic is there, and whether this is what's the ultimate goal? Like, is it to facilitate Israel taking a part of Syria? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Albert N says 12 hours watching front of a municipality YouTube shorts. I didn't know they had that many, but that 12 hours of it. I don't think I don't know. Cooking stream might happen. Me watching shorts is probably going to go there with ASMR and other rejected ideas. Glyceria, exactly. There we go. I guess people are spelling it. Yeah, Glyceria. Okay, I probably just pronounced it that way too. Rocore got their ordinations from SIR, didn't they? So did they agree with the Cyprionite viewpoint, and do they still? No. The answer is yes and no. Yes, they did. They got that from who they were in communion with, which was the Synod and Resistance. The question of whether they held the same ecclesiology is one that is debated. has been debated, but it is a moot question now because the Synod of Resistance doesn't exist anymore. So did they agree with the Cyprionite viewpoint? They would probably have said something to the effect of, we accept it as a possibility. Do they still? I would say that's more likely that they don't, because that union was in 2007, and then with the 2014 union with the GOC Callinicos, all of that was supposedly taken care of.
Yeah, I read that paper recently. It said something like, you know, this was an opinion that we were probably wrong about, and or something. You know, it was something like that. I don't know.
I did want to ask Father if it's not, you know, don't mean it to be an uncomfortable question, but I know I talked to Vladika Enoch about this one of the times I visited the Abbey, and I was asking about the not necessarily the Milan Synod, but before your church joined the Milan Synod, how they had associations with the UAOC. Which UAOC group was that? Was that under Vladika Mstislav, Michpotin Hohoria Oyachuk, or which UAOC was the Western Rite? I forget the name of their group before it joined the Milan Synod. Was it the same name?
Yeah, we actually were not from, you know, if you're talking about first, and let's clarify the first thing, when we were received into Milan, we were all received by Hierothesia to correct any problems in our ordination.
Understood, yes.
So that's one thing. Before that, when the church was the Synod of Orthodox Bishops of the Western Rite, we considered, you know, Palladius Rudenko our spiritual father to some degree. From what I understand, we didn't. When we joined the Milan Synod, we were part of the agreement with parties to the agreement with Metropolitan with Patriarch Vladimir Romaniuk. So past that, and you know, past the history with Archbishop Palladius Rudenko, I don't know that there was any connection to the Ukrainians, because Bishop William Francis Brothers was not. For a while, I believe he was associated with the Moscow Patriarchate's Western Rite Exarchate, but he left pretty quickly because he became somewhat suspicious of them for obvious reasons.
Well, I know Vladika Enoch mentioned that in the commemoration of the repose, they had Vladika Mstislav in that list, but they took him out because there were some people, I guess, in the synod that had a contention with Vladika Mstislav, and I know Vladika Enoch mentioned that he had some I don't know what to call it, some writings or whatnot from Metropolitan Grigory Oyachuk that I think he was going to send to me, but I haven't got them in the mail yet. So I was
don't remember
curious.
us ever having a particularly high estimation of Bishop Grigory Oyachuk. From what I understand from Vladika John, we kind of sort of saw, we were very suspicious of them, especially after some of the people that they made. So yeah, I know
Yes.
nothing about that. DTC says the channel seems to be growing. Well, I hope so. We have to keep on going. One thing that I think that needs to definitely be addressed, and it's something that isn't, is how I guess you could say we start using our resources for the building of true orthodoxy generally. I think I can contribute something in that space by saying that it is important that everybody who is together in a synod, or is part of the same synod, should link back and forth to each other and refer back and forth to each other, because as we continue to grow, we definitely need to start pooling our own resources, and then pooling our resources collectively as well. Allowing World Orthodox to pick us off doesn't seem to be a particularly successful strategy, but it's one people seem to want to use. I can only suggest, people like my channel because it's sort of non-positional, even though that's not altogether true. But I try to be as open positional as possible for other people. But they kind of have to work with each other's resources as well. I mean, I think probably the one channel that's doing that well is probably Orthodox Tradition. They really do kind of carry and build and cover each other's channels, and I think we all need to start doing that. Because otherwise the image of division will continue to be haunting, and every single person will be viewed on as a synod of themselves. So that is something that needs to be worked on. I can only put so many channels on my front page for so long and hope that people kind of put the dots together. But Sunrise, what about doing interviews with people about how they came to true Orthodoxy? Yeah, I was sort of enthusiastic about that 3 weeks ago. I did ask one priest or deacon or clergy, and he kind of canceled at the last minute, and that really sucked the winds out of my sails. I'm gonna try again. It's just that this is something I think we all need to be doing, but definitely. Yes, I saw the Huey Long comment before Reconquista. I'll put it up. I don't know. I don't know. That was a question I got. People asked me. Let me see if I can share it. Give me a second. I'll see if I can find it. In one moment.
They tried to kill.
Huh?
They tried to kill Huey P. Long so many times. There's actually. Hold up, sorry.
Yep.
Father, will we ever see Metropolitan John again on stream?
My guess would be no. If I'm being totally honest, it's not because he leaves that to younger people, Bishop Enoch, and other people. He doesn't want to deal with, doing online interviews or anything like that. So it may be, but not anytime soon, unfortunately. Let me see here. I did get this question. I got a bunch of these on my Eric Ibarra post. A bunch of people wanted to know if I would, let me see here. If I would do, let's see. Father, let's do some ASMR, smoking different cigars. I don't smoke cigars. I'm curious as to what the reference is to. But in any case, let me present this.
I think he said he smoked cigars like a couple episodes ago or something.
Oh, well, I'm not a cigar fan. But anyway, this was a common question. Got a couple of likes. Would I interview Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson? And I'm not sure the logic behind constantly asking me this question. And I'm going to say that why I don't think that's the why I don't understand the logic. I'm sure that there's at least some people who know about, my past history with Father Matthew Raphael Johnson, former Father Matthew Raphael Johnson. And I have kind of expressed myself. Now, I don't, they did. Sunrise says Roots of Faith asked interview. Yeah, and I said what time, and they never wrote back. I think they did. I think they did a little more research and realized this might not be a great idea. But would I interview Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson? And the question I said is about what? And this went on and on and on. And what I wanted to address here, because I think there's an important point that needs to be made here. If you are an Orthodox Christian and you're a fan of some of the writings or many of the writings of Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson, I appreciate the request. But almost always happens is that I ask, well, what about? And then they have their own pet ideas or their own pet comments or their own pet theories of what they want, Matthew Raphael Johnson to talk about or what they want me to talk about with them. And I flat out in this conversation, I got to the point where I just started asking, I basically asked, I asked, does anyone here, you actually talked to him, and asked him if he wants to talk to me? Because I don't think he wants to talk to me. But they keep pushing, and once I start, it gets to the cult, like, everything I believe in was thanks to him. You start sounding like Dyerites, and don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of talking to Jay Dyer, but people come in like, this was the man who saved my life, and then talking about, like, race realism and stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to help you.
I have
I
a
don't know
topic of discussion. Maybe you should ask him why he supports this Ambrosi Swirsky in Russia who thinks Hitler is a martyr. Maybe that's a good topic of discussion.
Ambrose von Sievers, as the rest of the world knows him, is also into polygamy. So
and Matthew Raphael Johnson can't get enough of that guy. So maybe you should talk about that.
I don't think Matthew Raphael Johnson wants to talk to me. It's his fans. His fans are desperate for it. It's really annoying.
I see
maybe
his
his cultists.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Have a good night,
about
Cornelio. Well, he's an interesting. Ask Vladika Enoch. He's interesting. The only video with Vladika John is Vladika Enoch's video on why we don't accept the BCP right. I would say so. Atomically, Reconquista says, why not interview a Gene? Gene's actually been on our program. There was one where Matthew Matthew Mara popped on, but that was so contentious because there were so many people that I think he dropped off because he was like, this is ridiculous. But let's see here. Let's see.
Father, I had a
Roots of
question.
Oh, yeah. Someone asked about roots. Okay, before that, someone asked about roots of faith. I answered that. Roots of ecumenism. Okay, what was your question about Ambrose von Sievers?
Is he still running his Gothic synod, the one that he's
Yes.
running? Oh, he's still running it. Oh,
yep. He's an odd individual. You look at his Facebook. He's
disturbing.
Yeah, it's odd to say the least. But let's see.
He tried to join our church.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Really?
He was part of the history of it, but then he went crazy.
Yes.
How about what he thinks to be a Christian? You must be a Platonist. I've never heard that. Not sure who that is, and that I would question whoever said that. Reconquista says, interview Brother Augustine. He reached out to a few different people about in True Orthodoxy recently, and he's starting to look at the question. I'd love to. He used to be very big on the whole schismatics thing, but that's over, so hopefully he will maybe later on. Reconquista says, Hitler survived and lived in Argentina. Yep. Thomas Lee says, literally what?
There's something weird about that Brother
Augustine
guy. I'll talk to you about it later, though.
Okay, that's fine. No, I meant Sievers. Yeah, Sievers is weird. There's no doubt about that. Question for John: has Vladika Andronic said anything recently about correcting his ordination? What is he talking about?
I believe that might have been a few years ago.
No, but I mean, why would he want his ordination corrected? What's wrong with it?
I think Sava might know about this part at least. I have not spoken to him about it, but I believe Sava will know more about it.
Okay, he mentioned to me the first time I met him that he was interested in having a correction of orders done because, of course, the whole thing with Rocae and Keepernism and Nagafangu.
You're telling me that? Are you telling me he told you that he wanted to correct his orders?
He brought it up to me. That was, of course, a few years ago. I haven't heard anything about that in a while, but he did mention that to me at least.
He just randomly said, Sava, I think I need to correct my orders.
Well, I was asking him about the Keepernism issue, and he said, yes, it's a heresy, and he says it's a very big issue, and he was considering getting his orders corrected due to it because of Agafangu Paskovsky's involvement in it.
Here's a question. Would St. Meletius need to correct his orders?
Well, if I recall correctly, didn't he actually go and do that just so they would try to fix this?
No.
Okay. I remember there was some story I read about someone where they...
The Luciferians were reconsecrating, reordaining, and rebaptizing.
Okay, yes, that's who I was thinking of. Okay, yeah.
Let's see here. Reconquista. Father Joseph, thoughts on the ice wall? I don't have any thoughts on flat Earth versus globe Earth. I myself believe in a globe Earth and don't believe in an ice wall. If you believe in an ice wall, I think that that's interesting. I'm not sure how that works, but I don't believe you're a heretic if you don't believe. I don't believe you're a heretic if you believe in an ice wall, but I think most of the people who get into the flat Earth thing, unfortunately, are crazed new calendarists. I'd stay away from those people. What?
The Earth is a donut.
A donut? No, I don't think it's a donut. I think if anything, I mean, obviously, I think it's either a globe or I think it's a personally, if you know about the firmament, etc., how it usually looks kind of like an oval, I believe it kind of just goes around a globe. The Platonist question is for Dr. Raphael. Well, I don't think he's that interested in talking to us. I really don't, and I'm not looking. I think that really let's all like drop the if I can, I want to drop the pretense. The real reason that anyone wants him on is to talk about white genocide and other things like that. I agree that a lot of horrible things are happening to white people, but my view is that if your focus is on your race rather than God, you're an idolater and need to repent.
Ethnophilatism, right?
Well, no, I think at this point it's worse than just being a heretic. It's getting to the point of like near idolatry.
It's a new religion for these people.
Don't
Christian
need it.
nationalism, that whole movement.
Christian nationalism is real, and I'm okay with it. I actually have no problem with the concept of Christian nationalism. My biggest problem with it is that its biggest, proponents are Protestants, who kind of, I guess, just want us to go back to living like the Amish do, except with more electricity, although the Amish already have electricity. So if they want tradition, they should just go repent to the Amish communities, Mennonite communities, and do that. But just trying more than that, it gets more confusing. Reconquista says 5G towers are being placed all over the place to generate graphene oxide and vax peeps. Fun fact for you there, that's about a 4-year-old story. People have been ripping down 5G towers. People have been putting up 5G towers for years. You can get shungite, and it will at least minimize some of the radiation that comes from them. We've seen that, long term, it hasn't killed all the birds. So thankfully, it's not as bad as it could be, or it could just be that we have sufficient shielding to avoid it. I just don't know. And then Black Orthodoxy says, is this guy people are asking about the one Father John Whiteford responded to on the race mixing topic? I was recalled it was mentioned he was an old calendarist in the article. Yes, it was. And yes, he was part of our synod, which is, I guess, why people ask. And I hate to say it, but for the most part, I think that, Father John was spot on that article.
I think that, not to interrupt, but I think where it's like, okay, that if a Christian nation is, but to make that your only goal, and it turns into almost like Chileism or something. Like it goes down that path. You know what I mean? I think that.
You always have to walk that line with Chileism, because a lot of people claim monarchism and then claim that they want to become, they want to build the kingdom of God on earth, which is the exact opposite of what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
5G tower from Ex Frontima. Sunrise gets it. Atomic Lead says, him. Black Orthodox says, oh, no wonder how they love him so much. Overt racist. Reconquista says, thoughts on Nick Fuentes? I don't think about gay men.
With MRJ, I will just say this, and I don't want to air out. I'm not a big fan of him either. I've had personal issues with him, mainly because you're slandering me for like 6 months, claiming that I was a terrible person.
How did you know him?
Well, I had interacted with some of his cultists, and some of his followers. I knew some of them, and they got me in touch with him, and I kind of saw through him very quickly that this guy is crazy and he's a heretic. And yeah, then he started sending his followers to accuse me of being a faggot and all this other stuff, the usual.
Okay. Let me see. Reconquista says thoughts on U.S. I extremely pity him. All I can say is, just I can't condone the absolutely kind of evil things that he's doing right now. But unfortunately, I don't know how deep that goes. I can't tell whether he's he's like having an actual problem or this is all just theater. Whether his conversion and then everything else afterwards, I simply don't know. Atomic Lead says Father St. Seraphim noticed chiliastic undertones in National Socialist Germany. There absolutely was, as well as in communist Soviet Russia. Sunrise says we never got the tape bro debate. Interestingly, I did see Andrew Wilson kind of hint that he would want to debate with Tate directly, which I think would be fabulous. But that's now that Andrew Tate has managed to escape to the U.S., most likely he's going to try to keep at least a moderately low profile and keep things hidden. So we'll just never see, unfortunately. Okay, let's see what's going on here. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Roots of Faith did right. I did say, when would you want to have a chat? That was 3 days ago, and I have not gotten a response since. So let's see here. Someone like to reply. Okay, bye-bye. And so here we are, back again. Tape Bros live in my city. I could see. Well, you live in Florida. It's warm. So, or if you're talking about the Tape Bros live in your city, well, then I'm sorry. That's depressing. Sunrise says, "Go on Roots of Faith and embrace the beauty." Oh, yeah, that's not exactly my plan, but we'll see. All right. So I don't see any big questions coming up. I don't see. Oh, LOL. I don't see any other stuff going on. So I am going to close out. I think we have, as mentioned, I will be hopefully doing something here with Ben from the channel there. Hold on. Let's see. The name of the channel. There's been so many different people. Yeah, okay. I guess I'll bring up the Ruslan thing next week, or maybe bring it up later on in the week. But let's see here. Cleave to Antiquity. So hopefully that'll be on Thursday, and then we will. Oh, okay. Sunrise says $4.99. Thank you so much for that and for supporting the channel. One more minute. All right, I'll leave you one more minute to think about it. I don't know who's got the Darth Vader voice here, but in any case, we'll figure that out. Let me add that to the banner, because thank you for that. Just hold on. This is a super chat for $5. Thank you so much. And we'll add that on. And so, thank you for helping out here, and for questions and comments. Did anyone here have any closing comments they wanted to get to?
Well, I do want to apologize. Forgive me for being argumentative and confrontational and not trying to bring up or I try to avoid the gossip stuff. I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
No, your knowledge is useful and valid. I, for one, am one of the people who votes that you really should consider starting your own channel. There's a lot of people who have suggested you should start your own channel because they want to hear what you have to say, and I agree with them. I think
those poor people.
Well, yeah, but they clearly do. They still want you to do it, so I think that you should. I'm not against. I think that I'm all for that.
I'll consider it.
Okay, let me just see here. Go there. Someone said cooking with Saba.
Oh well, maybe if we're talking kvass, maybe.
Oh,
No,
he's
you
just
never
gonna
know.
say that.
All right, well, Atomic Lee thinks it's funny. I think people would want to see it. So I want to thank you to everyone, to our guests, Unseen Warfare, John, Saba, to Ben who came earlier. Was there someone else? To the Herman guy. Yep. To our listeners, to those who had questions and those who had comments and those who support our mission, support the channel. We at NFTU do need your help. So support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on GiveSendGo, or on Odyssey. We remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for all the support for NFTU. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. With the prayers of Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. And have a good night, everyone. We're moving. Okay. All right, one moment, and have a good night.